Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Unexplained and Unsolved podcast. In this episode, me and Dakota will be talking about the Flatwoods monster. Now, we're going to make this intro a little short just because we really want to get into the video, but I would just like to say we're very sorry for not posting a video, super soon. I know it's been a while since, we posted a video, but, a lot of things have came up and we've been really busy, but we're just happy that we're able to start now and we just want to get back on track. Now, with all that being said, let's get into the video. Now, me and Dakota have been wanting to make a video on the Flatwoods monster for a while, just because, we've been to West Virginia quite a few times, and we've heard stories and everything, and, we play Fallout 76 quite a bit, and it's in the game, so, we just really wanted to talk about it on the channel.
So West Virginia is known for having a lot of different cryptids, with the Flatwoods monster being one of them, which is also mine and Vic's, one of our favorite cryptids.
Along with the Mothman.
Yeah.
And what's the Grafton Monster and stuff like that?
Yeah, Grafton Monster, Mothman, Flatwoods Monster.
Yeah. So, like I said before, we played Fallout 76, and that's based in West Virginia. So, obviously when I said before, we've been to West Virginia, and we've played the game. I feel like the game has just made us even, bigger fans of West Virginia cryptids as a whole. Because, like Dakota said, there's a lot in West Virginia. It's a pretty big state, so there's just cryptids running around all in the state. Yeah. Now, one thing that really stands out to me and Dakota about the Flatwoods monster is that it seems to be the only cryptid that is, extraterrestrial based. I'm sure that they've had, UFO sightings. I feel like every state has had, UFO sightings, especially, in current times with, UFO sightings being everywhere. But yeah, for the most part, it always seems like with West Virginia, the cryptids are supernatural, paranormal type stuff.
Yeah, or larger, I guess you could say mutated looking animals,
such
as the Grafton monster being a large ogre type thing without a head, and Mothman just being a moth-human hybrid, I guess.
Yeah, even the Snallygaster. I don't know, is that a real thing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a cryptid.
But yeah, like Dakota said, it seems like a lot of their cryptids are based around mutated stuff. I'm not really sure why it seems to they just seem to have a lot of,
because of their high population of animals and wilderness.
Yeah, and I think also, I remember I heard or I read that I guess they used to store a lot of nuclear materials and toxic materials around World War II. I think that's what kind of where they say Mothman came around was, from one of the bomb shelters that they kept the bombs and everything, because I know they had silos and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, it seems very interesting that this is pretty much the only extraterrestrial cryptid, in the state of West Virginia. It could very well be a mutated animal or something, but for the most part, and from the story, it seems like it's something from not on this planet,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have said that it could just be another form of Mothman, just because it has the red eyes, just like Mothman. And they're kind of the same size, at least from reports.
The only thing that they're kind of missing that's similar is the Flatwoods monster doesn't have large wings or a wingspan at all, is how people would describe it. Yeah,
and I feel the Mothman story and the Flatwoods monster story, they both people kind of chalk them up to the same thing. They would say that, oh, maybe it was an owl or something, because I remember they said that about Mothman, it could be a large bird or a large owl, because they have those glowing eyes. But yeah, I feel for the most part, I don't think there's really any ginormous owls or that in West Virginia. I know they have cranes and stuff like that, but I just feel this is something other than just a regular old barn owl or whatever kind of owl they want to say it is.
Yeah.
Now, if you aren't familiar with the Flatwoods monster story, we're going to tell it here shortly, but we just kind of wanted to give our opinions on it first. But yeah, let's get into the story. At 7:15 on September 12th, 1952, two brothers, Edward and Fred May, and their friend Tommy Heyer, said that they saw a bright object across the sky and land on the property of a local farmer, G. Bailey Fisher. The boys went to the home of Kathleen May, where they told their story. May, accompanied by three boys, local children Neil Nunley and Ronnie Shaver, and West Virginia National Guardsman Eugene Lemon, went to the Fisher farm in an effort to locate whatever it was that the boys had said they had seen. The group reached the top of the hill, where Nunley said they saw the pulsating red light. Lemon said he aimed a flashlight in the direction and momentarily saw a tall, man-like figure with a round, red face surrounded by a pointed hood, but descriptions varied.
In an article for Fate magazine based on his tape-recorded interviews, UFO writer Gray Barker described the figure as approximately 10 feet tall or 3 meters tall, with a round, blood-red face, a large pointed, hood-like shape around the face, eye-like shapes which emitted greenish-orange light, and a dark black or green body. May described the figure as having small claw-like hands, clothing like folds, and a head that resembled the ace of spades. According to the story, when the figure made a hissing sound and glided towards the group, Lemon screamed and dropped his flashlight, causing the group to run away. The group said they had smelled a pungent mist, and some later said they were nauseated. The local sheriff and deputy had been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. They searched the site of the reported monster but saw, heard, and smelled nothing. According to Baker's account, the next day, A. Lee Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to have discovered skid marks. Alright, sorry about that. Discovered skid marks in the field and an odd gummy deposit, which were subsequently attributed by UFO enthusiast groups as evidence of a saucer landing. According to former news editor Holt Burney, newspaper stories were carried throughout the country, radio broadcasts were carried on large networks, and hundreds of phone calls were received from all parts of the country. The National Press Services rated the story number 11 for the year. A minister from Brooklyn came to question the May family. A Pittsburgh paper sent a special reporter, UFO, and 14 writers like Gray Barker and Ivan T. Sanderson arrived to investigate.
Like with any cryptid or paranormal sighting, there's always people that are going to be chalking up something to it being something else, or, you know, just trying to find an explanation of like what it really was. You know, there's people that do believe in the cryptids, and there's also people that don't believe in the cryptids. So we're going to read the conventional explanations of the sighting. After investigating the case in 2000, Joe Nickel and the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry concluded that the bright light in the sky reported by the witnesses on September 12th was most likely a meteor. The pulsating red light was likely an aircraft navigation or hazard beacon, and that the creature described by witnesses closely resembled an owl. Nichols suggested that the witnesses' perception were distorted by their heightened state of anxiety. Nichols' conclusions are shared by a number of other investigators, including those of the Air Force. The night of the September 12th sighting, a meteor had been observed across the states of Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. According to Nichols, 3 flashing red aircraft beacons were also visible from the area of the sightings, which could account for the descriptions of the pulsating red light and the red tint of the face of the supposed monster. Nichols concluded that the shape, movement, and sounds reported by the witnesses were also consistent with the silhouette, flight pattern, and the call of a startled barn owl perched on the tree limb, leading researchers to conclude that foliage beneath the owl may have created the illusion of the lower portion of the creature, described as being a pleated green skirt. Researchers also concluded that the witnesses' inability to agree on whether the creature had arms, combined with May's report of it having small claw-like hands, which extended in the front of it, also matched the description of a barn owl with its talons gripping the tree branch. According to skeptic Ryan Haupt, even though local boy Max Lockhart admitted he had driven around the site hoping to see something in his Chevy truck, paranormal investigators concluded that the tracks, oily residue, and bits of rubbery substance must have been left by the creature and not the truck. Haupt explains nausea reported by some of the witnesses as symptoms of consistent with hysteria or overexertion. So after we read all that, Dakota, do you believe that there was a monster? Or do you think it was just kind of like combined hysteria with everyone just, you know, having anxiety and everything of like what they thought they seen?
I mean, it's hard to say with like it being West Virginia, I guess. I mean, it could have had something to do with the barn owl. It could have actually been a monster. It could have been someone messing around. It could have been...
Now, the only thing that I really find fishy is that they all had different stories of what they saw. And also with the guy saying that he drove over there and he was looking for, you know, the creature, and that could have very well been where the oily residue and the rubber came from, like they said. And I don't know, I mean, like I said, I just feel like it's kind of weird that they all had different, explanations on the creature. Like the one lady said they had small hands, and the other person said they didn't have hands at all. They could have just been, all scared and everything and stirred up, and they very well could have believed they saw a monster, but it could have just been something, and maybe like their mind just, I guess, projected it as a monster for them, so it just like scared them even more, and just
Or it could have actually been a monster, and the reasoning of why they had different descriptions on what it looked like, they could have just been like so freaked out by what they seen, that could have just been the reason why they had different descriptions and stories.
And for all we know, the monster could have just like brainwashed them or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to tell. If someone's not there to see it and you tell them that they see something, I feel like a lot of people are skeptical about stuff like that, so it's kind of hard to present something like that to a non-believer. Like these people, they're the committee of the skeptical inquiry, so they are all like already skeptical about stuff like that. So I feel like people like that, they just always try to draw up conclusions on stuff like that, which it's good to have people like that, because it's like, imagine living in a world where everyone's just believes in stuff like that, and then you just read news articles every day about like monsters being spotted and everything. And like I said, I just feel like it's weird that they all had different stories, and it very well could have been a barn owl. But I feel like if they seen it being big, because like the one article says it was like seen as like 10 foot. I feel like if they seen like a really big creature like that, barn owls are like really small. I don't know the exact size, but I know they're not 10 foot.
About maybe like foot and a half, maybe 2 feet could be like their largest size.
So I and also just think, like, if it was a meteor or a flare, like it had to hit that spot at like the right time for them to see that, So I feel like that's also kind of just not likely. Because like they would have to walk up there, because they would have to see it like twice, right? Because the boys seen it, and then when they went up there with the lady or the mom, then they seen it again. So it's like those flares and that meteor both had to be there at like the 2 separate times, like right on the dot, to be able to make them see what they saw or whatever. So I don't know. I like to keep an open mind about stuff like that. I don't know about you, but I would like to believe that there was a floating alien in the Flatwoods. I just feel like it's a really cool story and a really cool cryptid.
Yeah.
Now, one other really cool thing that me and Dakota read is that they actually have a sign up near Flatwoods that says "Home of the Green Monster." And they also have a Flatwoods Day, that's really cool, and a festival. So we should try to check that out. We want to try to go to the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, but like I said, we just have to try to find time to actually be able to go there. I think that's in like September or something.
Yeah, I believe it's September or November.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to go to those things. Obviously, if we go, we're going to definitely make a video about it. But, we hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good night.